What's going on, everybody? It's Coos with Coos' Corner. Here doing a live stream to preview the national championship game coming up between Alabama and Georgia. Recapping the bowl matchups. Talking about Caleb Williams entering the transfer portal. See what you guys think about that. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? What's going on? Somebody's popping on. People are starting to pop on now. It's the second time, for whatever reason, when I do a pre-scheduled live stream on the StreamYard, when I pull it up and actually hit go live, it never goes live. I don't know what's going on. It's the second time it's done that to me. This time I figured it out before I talked to nobody for 20 minutes. Last time I didn't figure it out for 20 minutes. That was pretty embarrassing. It hurts a man's self-esteem when he goes on a live stream for 20 minutes and nobody ever comes on there. But it makes you feel better when you realize it wasn't streaming. This one's actually streaming. I don't know why it does that. It's the second time. Appreciate you guys hopping on. I want to just talk a little bit about the national championship game coming up, recap some bowl games, kind of get your guys' thoughts on the matchups. Talk a little bit, if you want to talk about Caleb Williams entering the transfer portal, we can talk about that as well. Guys sitting at bowl games, I want to get people's thoughts on that because that's a very hot topic right now. After all these bowl games and all these guys sit out. I was saying before anybody come on, I just about didn't make it back home in time tonight to do this live stream. My daughter had a basketball game. It started at 5:30, but there's two games. There's a varsity game and a JV game. Of course, there's 15, 20 minutes. Hey, Jonathan, what's up, man? I don't know what I didn't do anything different, brother. I do a pre-scheduled live stream, and when I hit go live, it doesn't go live. Then I have to stop it and go out and start a new live stream. I don't know why it's doing that, man. Maybe you can tell me something I'm doing wrong. About ready just to start using YouTube and quit using StreamYard, to be honest with you. It's getting to be a little annoying. But anyway, what's up, man? Thanks for popping on. Oh, Outlaw. Good Lord. I saw the coast to coast thing, man, and it threw me. My bad. JPC. Dude, I'll tell you, I've been off tonight. I had to keep booking my daughter's game. I kept messing up. I don't know. I'm not been focused today for some reason. Probably a good thing I didn't try to make a video today because I probably would have screwed it up. Yeah, I don't know what happened, JPC, man. It's weird. I hit live, and it never goes live. Crazy, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue or as my wife likes to say, it's user error on my end. But looks like I got a few people popping on. What do you guys think about the national championship game? Who's going to win, Alabama or Georgia? JPC, I know what you think, man, but feel free to type it in if you want. If you guys watch my preview video, I picked Bama to win again, 35-27. Obviously, I think it'll be a little closer, but I think Georgia will make a few adjustments. But at the end of the day, I still think Alabama's a better team, mainly because of their coach. What's up, Kevin? Kevin Hager says Georgia. I do think Georgia will make it closer this time, Kevin, and they can win. I just don't know that they will. It's hard to pick against Nick Saban, man. I don't have a dog in the fight. I kind of like to root for Georgia in a way. I guess I'll probably be rooting for Georgia just because they haven't won a championship since the year I was born. But and Alabama's won 6 or 7, I guess. So I'll likely be rooting for Georgia just for that reason, but not that big a deal. Thanks, JPC. I appreciate it, man. Go share it. I don't advertise these things a lot, man, to be honest, because sometimes I don't even know if I'm going to have time to do them or not. So I hate to advertise them a lot. And then my schedule not work out and I'll not be able to do it. So it's kind of hard to advertise them. I'm gonna try to do them every Tuesday night, but with my daughter's basketball schedule and whatnot, it's not always easy. Yes, Kevin, it is going to be a good game, man. They're both really good teams. Honestly, I think Georgia. I just don't in SEC championship. I don't think Georgia didn't play very well, in my opinion. Alabama did, and they didn't. And obviously, and I think Georgia will come out ready to play this time, and I think they'll play better. But I think Alabama's going to be. Nick Saban is a master at motivating his team, and I think he'll have them motivated. They're going to read the headlines about being an underdog. You have them ready to play. Funny story, man. I don't know. Do you guys? I have to wear a mask at my daughter's games because of COVID protocols. Man, I get cotton mouth so daggone bad when I'm wearing a mask. And I come home and I chug a friggin' bottle of water like it's no tomorrow. My mouth's still dry. Kevin, I appreciate you hopping on, man. Really do. And congrats, Kevin. You're newlywed. Congrats for being a newlywed, man. What's up, Joey? Thanks for popping on, brother. Joey, it still won't let me give you a wrench, man. I'm going to have to go in my account and set you up as a moderator that way, I guess. I guess it's StreamYard. StreamYard probably won't let you do that on their site or something. I don't know. Kevin says, yeah, I hate when we were picked as a favorite. It's like rat poison to us. Yeah. That's exactly. Or as Nick Saban said, it's yummy rat poison to Alabama. When they're picked as an underdog. But yeah, I do. I'm anxious to see. I tell you what, I'm anxious to see two things. One, how Georgia bounces back, and how they come out of the gate, and how their defensive backs play this game. If they can do a little better job covering Jamison Williams. Kevin says, "Thanks. It's been a month already. Can't believe it. It flies by, brother." But I'd like to see how Georgia secondary plays, and I'd like to see how. Also, like to see how if Alabama can run the ball at all on Georgia, like they did. Which obviously we're running against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati runs that 3-3-5 stack defense, which is easier to run on. Got booted. What? You didn't get booted. I see you. You're still in. But no, I said I forgot what I was saying now. Georgia was able to run the ball. I mean, Alabama was able to run the ball against Cincinnati, but they run that 3-3-5 stack defense. They're not going to be able to do that against Georgia. But if they can run the ball at least a little bit, it'll be interesting to see. But Georgia's defensive line, if they can get some pressure, or their front seven, if they can get some pressure on Bryce Young, that'll help too. I just don't know if they can, man. Yvette, thanks for stopping on. Appreciate you coming on, Yvette. I think Yvette's new to our live stream. Thank you, Outlaw. I don't know how you shared it that fast, brother. But thank you. But yeah, things I'm looking to recap, things I want to see. I want to see if Bama can run the ball at all against Georgia, if Georgia's secondary can cover Jamison Williams and those Alabama receivers, if the Georgia front seven can get any pressure on Bryce Young. To me, those are the three things that are going to make a difference in the game for either side. Practice. I hear you. Practice makes perfect. So let's go ahead and jump over to I want to talk about Caleb Williams, guys. I want to get everybody's thoughts on Caleb Williams going into the transfer portal. Real quick. And Mr. Kevin sent me a thing earlier while I was at my daughter's game. Apparently now, let me look it up, Kevin. Mario Williams has entered the transfer portal. Freshman receiver they got. Had 35 catches for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns in his freshman season, earning him a spot on the first freshman All-American list. It is amazing. I kind of feel bad for Brent Venables, guys. I mean, they're leaving Oklahoma in droves, man. He's going to have to piece a team together next year, and it's as high as the expectations are in Norman for him to have to come in, and it's crazy. Yvette, you're Joey's wife. Well, I appreciate your support, Yvette. I really do. And your husband's a good man. Just don't tell him I said that. Joey says, my thoughts on this, Natty, is this. Georgia is the greatest team of all time. According to Uncle Lou, Bama can never lose with Saban, according to Jeff Grimm, so WVU is Natty. Oh, man, Jeff Grimm and Uncle Lou, what a pair. Oh, what a pair. But what's y'all's thoughts on Caleb Williams in Oklahoma and the transfer portal? Where do you think Caleb Williams goes? I want to get your all's thoughts on it. Do you think he ends up at USC with Lincoln Riley, or do you think he ends up somewhere else? Obviously, I think USC is the first choice, but I tell you, I'll tell you who I wouldn't rule out is Ole Miss. I'm sure Lane Kiffin's going to make a run at him. I wouldn't rule out. I'm hearing Georgia's in the mix because of NIL money. Man, Georgia, how could you imagine if Georgia had JT Daniels, Stetson Bennett? I think they've got a freshman. I cannot think of his name off the top of my head, but he's supposedly a 5-star recruit. Plus Caleb Williams in their quarterback room. Somebody would be leaving. John Kelly says, good evening, y'all. Let's go Mountaineers. Joey Foster says, I think Williams goes to LSU. I don't know why, but I just feel that way. Interesting, Joey. Interesting. LSU. Tim Oliver says he stays at OU. You know, he did leave the door open to stay, and I'm sure Brent Venables is going to do everything he can to figure out the way to keep him. John says, hi, Joey. Outlaw, thanks for the super chat, man. He says, Georgia thinks they are Rocky too, but this ain't the movie. You hedge pissers. In real life, Apollo Creed wins both fights, just like Bama will, 31-20. Once again, thanks for the super chat, Outlaw. Outlaw likes to give him Georgia fans a hard time. Gunner, that's right. Gunner's. I couldn't think of his name, Kevin. I drew a blank, man. My brain has not been working good today. I don't know, man. That's a lot of quarter. I'll be honest. I don't look for JT Daniels to stay. I look for him to transfer after this season, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong. What do you think, Kevin? You think JT will transfer, Kevin, or do you think he stays? Yvette says, my thoughts are that he's going to Jackson State. You know what? Yvette, that's interesting. I thought about that too. As soon as I heard about him hitting the portal, I thought to myself, it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see him end up at Jackson State. I'll tell you who else it wouldn't surprise me to see end up at Jackson State. The video I did about Jerry Rice's son being in the portal. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes to Jackson State. I got a gut feeling for some reason that he's going to Jackson State. Bama's going to kick ass and take names. I think so too, Yvette. Kevin Hager says, yeah, didn't Apollo get killed later on in the series? Good point, Kevin. JT will go straight to the NFL, in my opinion. Man, what's the deal with these spammers, man? You think he leaves? Yeah, I do too, Kevin. I do think JT Daniels leaves. I really do. Outlaw thinks JT will go straight to the NFL. Man, he might, Outlaw, but man, that'd be risky because he's been injury prone in his career, and and he hasn't played all season. Since the first couple games. It's not. He just don't have a. I think he needs to play at least one year healthy to build himself a resume before he goes pro, in my opinion. But who knows what he'll do? Sometimes these kids make. Sometimes young men make these decisions that aren't always the best either. I don't know. I just don't think he'd be smart for him to go to the NFL. I think I'd just transfer to somewhere else, like, I don't know, West Virginia. We could use a senior quarterback for 1 year. John says, was surprised Caleb Williams transferred. It shows it's just not a WVU issue, which is what I've said all along. It's happening to the better programs. John, I agree with you. But West Virginia's number of transfers is above most other programs. We're still one of the top programs. We may not be the highest in the country, but we're up there, man. And we can't deny that. And after that interview I heard, I'm not even going to promote. I swallowed my pride and listened to a Voice of Motown podcast. I didn't want to listen to it because I don't like the guy, like Voice of Motown. But I had heard really good things about the interview, so I listened to it. And it wasn't Brad Smith doing an interview. I guess it's guys that work for him or whatever. But anyway, they interviewed Stedman Bailey. And he has a really good relationship with a lot of the receivers at WVU, and he's not happy with what's going on inside the program. Just believe it at that. Joey Foster says, how long will it take OU to be back now that they lost all these players? Joey, that's what I'm worried about, man. Brent Venables, man, he's walking into a – man, I kind of feel bad for the guy. It just keeps getting worse. Joey, I guess you heard about the wide receiver leaving today. They have Brock, who's a freshman. Yes, they do, Kevin. I'm talking about Brock Bowers at Georgia. He's a beast, man. Outlaw says Apollo didn't get killed by Rocky. It took another Dolph Lundgren. If Georgia dies, they die. If Georgia dies, they die. I can hear you doing that in the Dolph in the Ivan Drago voice. If Georgia dies, they die. That was my really terrible impression of Ivan Drago. John Kelly, yes, I know that some of Hoge's kids are graduating and spending their last years elsewhere. Yeah, they are. Winston Wright was a Hoge's guy. Esdale was a Hoge's guy. I guess Jackie Matthews was a Hoge's guy. No, I don't really know for sure on him. Yeah, most of them are Hoge's guys, and majority of them are on the offensive side of the ball too. But Stedman Bailey did say that a lot of the receivers have told him stories about things going on that apparently the staff's doing some things that are go above and beyond just being disciplined. They're downright disrespectful. And he says if something doesn't change, it's probably going to get worse. And there's probably going to be more guys leave the program. And that came from Stedman Bailey, by the way, who says he wants to come back and help coach just to help the program. Brock Vandergriff is a freshman QB. Okay, that's it, Vandergriff. That's the last name I knew it was Van something. Couldn't think of his name. But they got such a deep quarterback room. I don't see Caleb Williams going to Georgia unless somebody offers him some huge amount of NIL money. That was great. You sounded like Drago. Woo! If he dies, he dies. I think the West Virginia D will be really good next year since Steele is coming. Me too, Joey, and Josh Anderson-Tomato. Guy was tied for second in the Big 12 in tackles and was honorable mention all Big 12. Guy got shafted, in my opinion. So he's going to have a chip on his shoulder next year. The only thing that scares me, Joey, about West Virginia's defense is their secondary. We're losing Alonzo Adai. We're losing Jackie Matthews. We're losing Sean Mahone. 3 starters and 3 good ones at that. And we're going to have a lot of young guys filling in for them. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I'm hoping they can go out into the portal and get some experienced guys to bring in that can play right away. We'll have Nick Troy Fortune back. We'll have Charles Woods back. We'll have St. McLeod back. He played a little bit there at the end of the year. Daryl Porter, we'll have him back. But our front 7 should be – I'll tell you what, we might have the best front 7 in the country next year. I know that's saying a lot. Well, I don't know about it in the country, but definitely in the Big 12. I mean, we're going to have all of our front 7. Our entire front 7 is coming back, with the exception of Vandarius Cowan. And he didn't even start every game, and he was a discipline issue. So it's probably better that he's not coming back. So, which, by the way, that's something else Neil Brown said. Neil Brown said a lot of these guys that are leaving are disciplinary issues. So here's what I think's happening at WVU. I know I'm jumping all over the place, guys. I'm going to try to get back on track in a minute, but I just want to address these comments. But I think what's happening with WVU is a lot of Dana was a completely different personality and ran his program in a completely different way than what Neil Brown does. So when Neil comes in, Neil's probably more structured. He's probably more of a disciplinarian, more strict about certain things. And a lot of the guys may not like that. And it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It doesn't mean they're wrong to not like his way. But I think it's just it's probably something where he's going to have to get, once he's got all the guys he's recruited in that know how he wants to do things and know how he wants to do things and are willing to do it that way, and ingrain his culture 100% into that program. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is just guys leaving that don't want to I don't know, live under that culture, I guess, be part of the new culture. And it doesn't mean Dana's culture was bad necessarily. It's just different. Neil Brown said that when he got here. He said, we got to change the culture. Doesn't mean the old culture was necessarily toxic or bad. It's just he does it differently. So most of you, I think somebody said they think Caleb ends up at LSU. Yeah, everybody smash the like button for me. Good. Thanks, Joey. Appreciate the reminder. I always forget to say that. And two guys, look, I have just started my Patreon page. I don't have it completely finished yet, but I do have it started. I got back so late this evening I didn't have time to put my link in, but I'll do that later. But it's in my last two videos. The Patreon links in my last two videos. If you go check my Patreon page, I've got 3 tiers that you can join. I've got the Country Roads tier, the Mountaineer Maniac tier, and the Couch Burners tier. $5, $10, and $15 tiers that you can join. Be part of. If you want to join my Patreon account, it'll get you in the running for prizes when I do drawings, which I'm going to start doing here real soon. I just got to figure out what my first prize is going to be. I'm going to start doing some drawings. I'm hoping to start doing some, once I figure out how to do it, I'm going to start doing some private live streams, maybe just for Patreon members. What I'd like to do is get some special guests on my show, and then have only my Patreon member, have some live streams where only my Patreon members can join. Just a little perk for joining, I'm not going to do anything to alienate all my other supporters, but I've got to give people, you got to give people something for joining the Patreon page, man. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And like I said, but the contest is going to be the big thing. I'm going to try to do some raffles and raffle off some prizes. And I'll probably do a March Madness pool come basketball, March Madness time. Patreon members will be able to be a part of that. So I'll really ask if you guys, any of you guys who can and can support me in that regard. If you can't, I totally get it. It's all good. But if you can, I ask that you please do that. And obviously, super chats is another way you can support me, and I'll be sure to read your comment if you throw a super chat up. Caleb Williams. How about Baylor this year? Joey, John, thanks for smashing the like button. Outlaw says they need to regulate NIL. Caleb Williams and these players have turned this crap into NFL regs. It has, man. He's holding OU hostage. Well, OU brought in Dylan Gabriel, so I don't know. Now, Dylan Gabriel's not Caleb Williams, but Dylan Gabriel's a good quarterback, so that may have been Oklahoma's response to that as well. Joey says, I'm special. Don't mean to change the subject, but how about Baylor this year? Out of nowhere, heck, OSU too for that. Yeah, but really, Joey, same thing, man. And I tell you what, Baylor's probably going to be just as good next year. I think they got a lot of their guys coming back, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be, they've got that really good young quarterback that backed up Gary Bohannon. I think he'll end up being better than Gary Bohannon, to be honest. The one that played in Bohannon's replacement when he was injured. There again, I'm having trouble remembering names tonight. My brain is just fried today, guy. I don't know what's going on with me. I've had a tough day remembering stuff today. What's puzzling for Caleb Outlaw is Bob Stoops had coached a nice bowl win over Oregon. Seemed like good momentum. Yeah, it is weird, man. I don't know. Did you hear his post-game press conference? They asked Caleb about it, and he basically dodged the question about it, whether he was staying or not. He said, I'm going to take a vacation, spend some time with my family. And he said, that's what I'm going to focus on first. And he wouldn't answer the question. So I found that to be extremely interesting. And I kind of knew at that moment that he was thinking of leaving. I have a feeling these conversations happen a long time before we ever hear about it. But let's talk about the bowl matchups for a minute. Did you guys think that the bowl matchups, outside of the playoffs, did you guys like the bowl matchups this year? I personally did. I thought, you look at the Rose Bowl was a good game. Sugar Bowl was a good game. Fiesta Bowl was a good game. Some of the smaller bowls were pretty good games. I think that the bowl committee did a really good job matching teams up this year. A lot of first-time matchups between teams. Heck, West Virginia, Minnesota had never played before. That obviously didn't go our way, but it was interesting to see us. It makes it more exciting to watch a game when it's a team you've never played before. There was rumors going around that we would end up playing Maryland in a bowl game, and I had no desire to play Maryland again. We'd already played them once. I don't want to see us play as a team in a bowl game that we've already played. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And if it's a tournament setting like the college football playoff, obviously you don't have a choice. But for just a bowl game where you have a committee matching you up together, I don't think that's would have been a good idea. I didn't want to see it. These dang spammers, get out of here. One bad loss from the playoff. Oh, yeah, you're talking about Oklahoma State. Yeah. Man, 1 inch. They were basically an inch away from going to the playoffs, John. Wasn't OSU picked to finish like 5th or 6th, I think, Big 12? I think so. I don't remember for sure, Joey. I'd have to go back and look at the preseason polls, but I don't think they were picked to do what they did. But they found a way to win, man. I bet Bob was not happy. He seems like one of the classic coaches. Bob Stoops is, in my opinion, a class act. Not that I don't know the guy personally, but what would be funny is if Caleb went to South Carolina and took Rattlers again. That would be funny. I don't see that happening, but that would be funny. Joey says, I like most of the bowls. There was dinner nice matchups. Yeah, there was some good matchups. I don't have the bowl list in front of me, but the ones I remember obviously are the New Year's Day bowls because that was just a really good day of football that day. A lot of good games. But there was a lot of good matchups this year. I thought the bowl committee really did a good job matching teams up, like I said. Big 12 liked their lineup. Most part was potential for really good matchups if only the players and coaches wouldn't quit on the season beforehand. Yeah, man. John, tough subject, man. I've been bouncing around trying to figure out where I put my stake in the ground on that topic, and I just can't, man. I hate, as a fan, I hate guys sitting out bowl games. I really do. But if I sat back and think about it, if I was in the position where I could make millions of dollars and one injury could cost me millions of dollars, I don't know that I wouldn't do the same thing those guys are doing. And like Coach Bull Jones said on our live stream last night, if it was your son in that situation, what would you want him to do? And that was a kind of a perspective I hadn't heard before. And it made me think, you know what? He's right. Yes, Baylor did, John. Also, West Virginia had an amazing year. Amazingly, they got a bowl game loss. Yeah, West Virginia was, 3 possessions away from being a 9-3 team. Crazy. Need to be some further incentive to play those posts. I agree with that, John. There needs to be – they need to figure out a way to either NIL money to these guys. Maybe some corporation comes up and says, hey, we won't give you NIL money unless you play the full season. Guys, maybe have to pay back part of their scholarship money. I don't know. Something has to give to keep guys from – because it's ruining the bowl games. And like JPC and I's broadcast partner, Jonathan Lewis, has talked about, you buy tickets the day after the game's announced. Then all of a sudden your favorite players sit out the game. It's not – some people may not want to go anymore, and you just drop tickets on a game you don't even want to watch. You've wasted your money. It's not fair to the ticket. It's not fair to the customer, which is the person buying the tickets. Guess I'm hungry. Didn't mean to say dinner. Yeah, I knew you didn't, Joey. I just rolled with it, man. Just rolled with it. Kevin says there have been some good games this year. Some were surprisingly close. Yeah, they were. I liked it. Steve, thanks for stopping in, man. I like the Fiesta matchup. It was. I did too. I really enjoyed that game. I was, I had picked Oklahoma State to win. Thought Notre Dame was overrated. And that first half of that game made me start thinking, maybe Notre Dame's better than I thought. I thought I was going to have to eat some crow on that pick. Coos, I have to run, man. Hey, John, talk to you later, too. Good night, everybody. Hey, thanks, Joey. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Have a good night. John Kelly, night, Joey. Good to see you. Outlaw, you don't get a wrench if you dip early, Joey. Ha ha. Yeah, StreamYard won't even let me give him a wrench. Bob Hertzel defended Lady Brown in a post something to the postmortem of the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. I don't think would change the course of the game. Was unheard of years ago to sit out bowls that were. I agree, John. It was unheard of, man. Times have changed, though, man. College football is now a business, and like we were talking last night in our live stream, and like Coach Bull Jones and I agreed. The players did not create the business. ESPN, the media, us fans, the universities have made it a business. The conferences, they're the ones who've made it a business. All the players are doing what they got to do to get their piece of the pie, which is only fair. Outlaw, thanks for the super chat, man. $5 super chat, I appreciate it. Bull Jones was being hypocritical, in my opinion. If players like Pickett sit out, then why shouldn't the whole pit sit out? I don't think it's hypocritical, man, in my opinion. I respect your opinion, though, but I don't think Bull was being hypocritical. Some of those guys don't have the opportunity to sit out. Some of those guys need to play the game to impress scouts. Some guys might be a sophomores and can't go to the NFL next year. That's like I said, I don't like it. I personally don't like it, but I'm not going to judge a young man for doing what's best to put food. I sit back and think about this, Outlaw, is if I'm a kid that comes from the streets, or even it don't have to be the streets. It could be, West Virginia, for crying out loud. We're known as a low income state. What if a kid comes from poverty and doesn't have a lot of money, and he's relying on that $1 million contract in the NFL to feed his mom, to help with his mother and his dad and his family out, his siblings, put food on their table, man. He can't, you can't fault the kid for wanting to better improve the status of his family, and once I thought about it from that perspective, man, it really changed I still don't like it. As a fan, I don't like it, but as a businessman, I totally get it. And as a parent, and I don't know, I try to look. I'm just one of these people. I try to be really intentional about looking at issues from both sides, man. Because I grew up in a time when, and in a place where that wasn't always happening. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that until you've walked in somebody else's shoes, sometimes you can't judge. And I just don't want to, I don't know the situation these kids are in, man. Chris goes in. Thanks, Crisco, for hopping on, guys. Crisco's Country Life. He's got a great channel of his own, man. Great content. There are seniors on Pitt's team that are going to be drafted too. It's not right, bottom line. They have NIL and insurance to cover them. This is wrong. And I respect that opinion. I'm having a hard time putting my stake in the ground on either side, to be honest, because I see, like I said, I see both sides of it. I know Jonathan gave me a hard time for riding the fence, but I just can't help it, man. I honest to God, see both sides of it. And it's not good for the game. I know that, but I'm not going to blame the players. It's one of those don't blame the player, don't hate the player, hate the game scenarios. To me, that fits. You're welcome, Crisco. Better had shut down Ole Miss's first string quarterback prior to the injury. He did have some class playing, but the Devil's advocates are going to point to the Sugar Bowl as a reason for players opting out. Yeah. Well, see, here's what blew my mind was guys skipping New Year's Day games, the Rose Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl. I mean, that was unheard of, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. Just don't get it. Steve, man, hey, man, thanks for Super Chat, Steve. $5 Super Chat. I agree. Players are optimizing the system. That's what they're doing, Steve. Look, like I said, I hate it. I think it sucks, man. It's ruining the sport we grew up watching. But times have just changed, and the ESPN, the fans, the media, the universities have realized how much money they can make from college football. So what are they doing? They're making it a business, or they've made it a business. And the players, people, guys, I'll be honest. I think young kids today, I look at my own kids and how my kids are smarter now at their age than I was when I was their age. I think kids today are more intelligent in most cases than because the technology is so much more advanced. And they're learning, when I was 18, 19 years old, I wouldn't have known anything about business, sitting out a game to make this or do that, or contracts, NIL money. And I mean, I'm sure I was smart enough to figure it out, but it wasn't on my mind. You know what I mean? But now these guys are growing up in a time when they come up in 9th, 10th, 11th grade now thinking about, all right, I'm going to make me some bank playing football, right? And it's become part of the lifestyle now. And I can't blame the players for that. And two, you got to think they've got their parents in their ear. Hey, you need to take this money. You need to take this money. Potentially, you've got family members in their ear. I mean, you've got so many people in their ear now telling them, hey, you need to make your money, sit out the game, go to the NFL. And I just don't see I don't know. I just don't I don't understand. I don't feel comfortable judging a kid especially without knowing his circumstances. I mean, if the kid's poor, I'm not going to fault the kids for putting food on his family's table. I'm not going to do that. Because I mean, even if you take football out of the equation, look at it look at a career or a job. If I've been at a job for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, throw any number out there, and all of a sudden I get offered a better opportunity, I'm going to leave my job and go to that better opportunity. Now the only difference there is obviously I'm going to give my employer 2-week notice before I leave. I'm not just quitting on them. So I do. It's not apples and oranges. I mean, it's not apples and apples, but still, it's still a career and a job thing. And that's what these guys are doing. And these 18, 19-year-old kids now are being 4 or 20. Well, you're not 18, 19. Well, in some cases they are when you look at NIL. But as far as sitting out games, it's 20, 21-year-old kids now being asked to make decisions that 20, 21-year-old kids didn't have to make, a long time ago. Jonathan rides the fence all the time. Don't sweat it. It's probably why he was giving me a hard time. Coos, can I get your opinion on Cincy being worthy or not to have played Bama in the playoffs? If they should have kept them or put in. Here's the way I look at it. They didn't do any worse than Michigan. Nobody says Michigan didn't deserve to be there. Yeah, day on around, I thought they deserved to be there. Now, had Oklahoma State won that game against Baylor, then I absolutely wouldn't. I would have put Oklahoma State in over Cincy because the strength of schedule would have been more. Even though Oklahoma State would have had a loss over in Cincinnati didn't, I would have put Oklahoma State in. I do think if a group of 5 school plays a strong enough schedule and goes undefeated, depending on what happens around them, they in this particular scenario, I do think Cincinnati deserved to be in the playoffs, yes. Based on everything that happened and everybody's body of work. So if Neil Brown gets fired next year, who is your reasonable top 3 to replace? Man, Lord outlaw, man, I haven't even went that far. Obviously Luke Fickell, but Luke Fickell's not going to leave Cincinnati for West Virginia. Number 1, I think he's already turned the job down once. 2, I don't think we can pay him enough. And 3, that wouldn't be very. He's going to be in the Big 12 anyway. He doesn't need to leave. He would be my first obvious choice. But other than that, man, I really haven't thought about it. I don't know. I wouldn't mind going out and getting a guy with some West Virginia ties, to be honest. Somebody like not Rich Rodriguez, but Tony Gibson, who was our former defensive coordinator. Somebody like that. But that's a good question, man. I might think about that one. That might make for a good video idea, Outlaw. Man, but if I do a video like that, everybody's going to scream at me and say, "You're just stirring the pot." Sometimes I get these video ideas, and I'm like, man, if I make this video, half the fan base is going to be ticked at me. Steve Mendenhall, can't blame the 18-year-old kids. Exactly, man. That's my opinion. The game popularity is delicate. It can be ruined. Yep. Oh, John, I missed this comment. That's a good one. Seen some very critical pieces coming out wanting to ban the group of 5 out of the future selections. Yeah, that wouldn't. That's part of the whole college football playoff expansion argument too. There are voices in the room who don't want the group of 5 conferences to get automatic bids, and obviously there's some who do. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't think they should have automatic bids either, because I don't think they earn it. No disrespect to them. They don't play near the schedule the Power 5 conferences do. And I don't think they should be able to get – I don't think you should be rewarded for playing a cupcake schedule. No, I know that sounds hypocritical based on what I said of Cincinnati, but I think it depends on what happens around you. And if you play some out of conference games against Power 5 schools and beat them soundly, that's different. But I don't think they should have automatic bids. So, but I don't. But I also don't think they should be exempt from being in either if they earn the spot. They should be allowed to earn the spot. It's just a lot harder to earn the spot, John, if that makes sense. Not sure some good coordinators out there, but is about to remove Brown next year. Yeah, man, his buyout issue massive right now. I think if we fired him right now, we'd have to pay him like $23 million or something. Shane Lyons done something that I've never. Shane Lyons gave him a contract extension off of a 6-4 season with a huge buyout, and he also made it to where Brown can leave without a buyout of his own. Should Shane Lyons or Gordon Gee lose their jobs? If Shane Lyons or Gordon Gee leaves WVU, then Neil Brown can walk away without paying us a dime. I'll be honest with you. That I'm not 100% sure I agree with that contract that he got. Outlaw says Todd Monken, Georgia coordinator. You know what? I'd be okay with that. A lot of people fans that didn't like Holgorsen wanted West Virginia to hire a guy with head coaching experience like Neil Brown. Well, we did. Well, he's not so far. After 3 years, he's not getting the job done either. Now, I'm not saying he won't. I've still got faith in the guy. I think he can turn it around. But I tell you what, he's going to have to get a lot better next year. 6 wins is not going to be good enough in year 4. But anyway. But now I'm thinking, look at all these good coordinators that become great coaches. Kirby Smart's a perfect example. Dana Holgorsen was a coordinator. He didn't do bad at West Virginia. A lot of people didn't like him because of his antics and stuff he did on the sidelines and his personality. But Dana Holgorsen was not a bad coach. He wasn't a very good recruiter. He had to make his bank in the transfer portal. But I'll be honest, I'm starting to think now if that's not the best route to go. Maybe Dana Holgorsen saw this coming, Sorry for the noise, guys. Got me some candy. Nerds. But anyway, chewy nerds at that. Are you making the case for expanding playoffs? Yes, I am, Steve. Absolutely am. We need it. You can't tell me. Number one, I think it'll help. I think it'll reduce the number of people who set out bowl games, number one. Number two, I think, for example, Oklahoma State. I would have loved to see Oklahoma State, Baylor, Notre Dame. Well, I don't like Notre Dame, but they had earned it. Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, Baylor, Ole Miss. If those games, the Fiesta Bowl and Sugar Bowl, if those games had been playoff games, man, wouldn't they think about the state? What would have been at stake? The Rose Bowl. There'd have been more at stake. It would have been even more fun to watch. Steve says, "Grow your own timber." I don't know exactly what you're referring to. I assume you're talking about you're talking about coaches moving up, maybe. What's up, Jonathan? I called Outlaw John earlier. I don't think he's speaking to me anymore. It should be the best 4, 8, or 12, whatever. Sometimes the conference champ has 3 or 4 losses. Conference champ doesn't mean you are one of the best now. And Outlaw, I agree with you. I used to think if you don't win your conference, you don't deserve a shot. But not all conferences are created equal, especially when you have conferences that have 2 divisions and one division is terrible and the other division is really good. It's completely out of kilter, man. So I actually agree with you on that now. I've changed my stance on that over the years. Coos, what's your thoughts on Calvin McGee? He was a really good OC, Damon. I have no issue with it. I'm actually surprised Calvin McGee hasn't gotten a shot to be a head coach. But here's the thing. Did Calvin McGee actually call plays, or did Coach Rod call the plays? That's what I'd like to know. Do you know the answer to that? Because if Coach Rod was always calling the plays anyway, then he wasn't doing much, in my opinion. Developing guys, obviously, but underneath Coach Brown, we have some flexibility. Some former W players have chimed in recently to help. They have. Stedman Bailey actually said he has communicated with Coach Brown through email and stuff about, potentially becoming there to coach, but it never panned out. Ironically, he and Coach Brown have never met face to face, believe it or not, which kind of surprised me. Steve, and even though he's on campus a lot, Stedman Bailey goes back to West Virginia a lot. And he's even offering to take the receivers at West Virginia and have them come down to Florida or wherever. I guess I'm assuming it's Florida where he lives, and do like a camp with them, like a 3 or 4 day camp with them, because he wants West Virginia football to be good again. Oh, PSU just did the same for Franklin. His contract and buyout is almost untouchable with his resume. Yeah. Holgerson is a good offensive mind. He is. And guys seem to like playing for him. He wasn't a real good recruiter. I heard through the grapevine he was kind of lazy. He didn't like to go on recruiting trips, which is why Houston's perfect for him, because he don't have to leave Texas to recruit now. He made all of his assistants go on all the trips. He didn't like to travel. Coach Brown goes everywhere, man. Carl Joseph as well. Yep. Now, I didn't know about Carl Joseph, John. I thought he was still playing in the league. Aaron Beasley's offered to help. Gregory never possible coach replacement. That's what I was thinking you meant. That's why a lot of people clamored when I wouldn't mind having a guy like Tony Gibson coach, man. Tony Gibson, guys would absolutely run through a wall for that guy, man. You didn't see guys leaving the program when he was here. Not like, which I know NIL and stuff wasn't around then either, so I'm sure that plays a part. And guys seem to like playing for Jordan Leslie, though. Jordan Leslie, I tell you, the fact, to me, it's telling that Dante Stills and Josh Smith are both those guys Dante Stills could have went pro, guys. He could be making money in the NFL right now, but he chose to come back. What's that tell you about Jordan Leslie as a defensive coordinator? It tells you he's a good one, and the guys want to play for him. I heard the ACC is going to invite Marshall. The ACC just watched blue and gold dude's head explode. Oh, gosh. You're in here turning up trouble. Oh, wow. I believe Calvin was calling plays. When we lost to Pitt, I believe his calls at the end of the game were overridden by Rodriguez. I know he called plays when Coach Rod left to go to Michigan. Of course, Calvin McGee went to Michigan with him, but he stayed on. to coach the bowl game. And I'm pretty sure Calvin McGee was calling the plays in that bowl game against Oklahoma that we looked freaking phenomenal in. One of the best performances I've ever seen by a West Virginia team. Don't sure what Marshall would add to the ACC. I think it was a joke, John. I hope it was a joke. My gosh. If ACC took Marshall over us, I believe my head would explode. Uncle Lou just declared itself Auntie Louise. Outlaws hitters stirring up trouble, guys. Speaking of Marshall, though, in all seriousness, their quarterback just hit the portal. Now, he's actually a West Virginia kid. He's from West Virginia, but I don't even know if West Virginia recruited him or not. He's put up pretty good numbers at Marshall in 2 seasons. He started as a true freshman last year. Or I don't know if he was a true freshman. He started as a freshman last year. Put up really good numbers. And when I first heard the news, I was like, man, I want him to come to West Virginia. But then I dug into his stats. His stats were no better than Jarret Doege's. He threw like 13 interceptions this year, and he did it in Conference USA. So if he's throwing 13 interceptions in Conference USA against those defenses, he's not going to be able to perform. I don't think he'll do any better. He's not going to do better in the Big 12 against Baylor and Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Texas, Oklahoma. No way. So I think maybe he can go I don't know, some big program might, some Power 5 program might take him. Somebody, I think I saw on Facebook or somewhere that he's being linked to Virginia Tech maybe. I don't know if that's true or not. But that would be, I don't know. Uncle Lou thinks Georgia should be favored by more than 2.5-point spread. I don't see how they're favored at all. That's what I don't understand. Alabama beat the brakes off Georgia, yet Georgia's favored in the game. I absolutely don't get, which I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about gambling, so I'm not sure how spreads are generated. If anybody knows that, be sure to, feel free to type it in the comments. But I don't know how they're a favorite. It doesn't make any sense. It's like they're inviting people to bet on Bama. I think that's what they're doing. What else was I wanting to talk about? Oh, Dillon Gabriel to Oklahoma. Did you guys hear the news about Dillon? Dillon Gabriel was set to enroll at UCLA yesterday. Or it was either yesterday or today. At the last minute, he decided to go to Oklahoma instead. He transferred from a program he had not even stepped a foot in the classroom with yet. I mean, that is just nuts to me. Absolutely nuts. But that's the world we live in, man. It's just that somebody's going to have to step up and do something to stop this madness. I read today there are 3,000 players in the transfer between all 3 divisions, 1, 2, and 3. There are 3,000 athletes in the transfer portal. Think about that. 3,000. That is insane to me. I mean, to me, that is not college sports, man. But we've opened a can of worms, and the NCAA wipe their hands over it. They don't want to touch it. But they need to. They need to step up and make some rules, put parameters when these guys can enter the portal. They have to do it by a certain date so they don't leave their teams hanging. It's ridiculous that they wait to the last minute to do this crap, man. And then their coach don't have time to replace them. How they beat Michigan, they think they have made adjustments. Well, they did. I'm sure they will, but Michigan, you got Cade McNamara versus Bryce Young. Now, stupid me picked Michigan to win the game. I thought Cade McNamara was a better quarterback, I guess, than he actually is. But it takes a great quarterback to beat. I don't think anybody I don't know that anybody besides Bryce Young beats Georgia, if you want my opinion. Or at least somebody close to his level. Maybe a Matt Corral. Wait a minute, they played each other. No, they didn't. Ole Miss and Georgia didn't play. I still don't think Ole Miss beats Georgia. But you see my point. As a team, they're not good enough. But my point is, it takes that caliber of a quarterback to beat Georgia, in my opinion. And Alabama happens to be the team that has it. Yes, it was a joke. Geez, all kidding aside, I know W wants the ACC or Big 12, but what if the ACC waited in and offered? Would you still want the ACC? No, I guarantee you probably shouldn't say guarantee, but because I don't know, I'm not Shane Lyons or Gordon Gee, but I would be willing to bet if the SEC wanted West Virginia, we'd be rolling up in that joint. What's up? We in the SEC, baby. We'd be chanting SEC, SEC. Needs to have some regulations on it. I agree, man. It's the Wild West. A great way to put it, John. The Wild West. That's exactly what it's become, man. It's nuts. Outlaw think we ride it out till the TV deal runs out. I'm aware we still need to pay grantor rights money. And John, interestingly enough, I think I might have brought this up in one of my videos, but the grantor rights money is actually completely separate from the buyout to leave the conference. The Big 12 buyout is not something that's tied into the grantor rights. It's separate. And my understanding is that the buyout to leave the Big 12 was $80 million. It doesn't matter when you leave. So even if Oklahoma, and my understanding is now, and I heard this on the Sikkim 365 podcast, by the way, regardless of when Oklahoma and Texas leave, they've still got to pay the $80 million. Even if they wait till after 2025, they still got to pay $80 million. But they don't lose all that TV revenue money. If they would leave now, they would not only pay the $80 million, but they would lose the TV revenue money between now and 2025, which ends up being over $100 and some million they would lose. They would be giving up. Do you think Caleb Williams is moving on from OU? I do. I don't think he would go into the portal otherwise. Here's what I think he's doing, and he's smart. I think he's basically becoming a free agent to see who offers him the best NIL deal and who's the best fit. That's what I think he's doing. So if Oklahoma comes back with some kind of NIL deal, there's a thing going around West Virginia Twitter accounts today, not from West Virginia University, but like certain groups, Twitter groups and Twitter followers and podcasters and people like that. They're wanting West Virginia fans to do a GoFundMe thing to get Caleb Williams an NIL deal. It's crazy. I just want to burn some damn couches. Yeah, me too, brother. I've not had a reason to in a while. Josh McDaniels and Eric Bieniemy, both offensive coordinators, needing a job. Ooh, great. Man, that would be cool. I'd love to have a guy here with some NFL ties that could really, really just bring – I'd like somebody here that can bring in some absolute superstars in recruiting. That's what we need. We've got or figure out a way – like for Nico can come into West Virginia. Nico might be able to make a killing in NIL money in West Virginia because he's coming in already as a superstar before he's played a snap. If he can leverage that, I mean, he's going to be a celebrity in this state. And if he can leverage that, he might be able to make quite a bit of NIL money himself. $80 million is a lot for WVU plus travel money. Exactly, John. Exactly, man. That's been my point. Which here's the thing though, and I've been wanting to do a video on this. I just haven't had time to do the research. Is how West Virginia would save a lot of money in travel expenses if they went to the ACC versus the Big 12. Would they save enough money in travel? How many years would it take for them to get that $80 million back in travel expenses? Jeff Stapleton, I'm glad y'all had some fun playing Michigan. That ends Saban's coming for his 8th national champ mutts. The trash talk has commenced. Just look at what WVU had to eat the expenses of having to fly out to Texas for something that's not their fault, not getting to play TCU in basketball. Stuff we had to put in the Big 12. Yep, exactly. Jeff Stapleton, we got Brookmeyer brothers, Roll Tide. I'd have to Outlaw's question about who would be a good coach for Neil if Neil Brown got fired. That really got my wheels turning. I got it. I know who West Virginia needs to bring in, guys. I got it. The light bulbs went off. Charlie Weiss. That's who we need. He said it wasn't really that bad, but neither was Rich Rod. He had WVU on the cusp of a national title. Yeah, Rich Rod was a good coach, man. I've never said Rich Rod was a bad coach, but with the way he left West Virginia, man, half the fan base hates the guy still, and there's no way they could bring him back and keep peace. They could potentially lose donors. I've let it go because I've heard Rich Rod's side of the story, and if the staff screwed him the way he says they did, then he should have left. Our not staff, but administration. Our administration, if our administration did at the time, it's a different administration now, but if that administration at that time did to him what he said they did, then they should have been fired. Eric Bieniemy was the OC at Chiefs. Yeah, I remember him, man. How's he out of a job? My God, that guy was a friggin' offensive guru, man. Holy crap. Bama beats Georgia 45-21. That's, man, John, you think it'll be that by that much? That's interesting. I think it'll be a little bit closer than that. I think it'll be 35-27. I'm basically a touchdown. Hugh Freeze for WVU. As long as they don't cause us to have sanctions over our head, I'd be okay with it. He's a good coach. Who's happy the Chiefs lost? Kermie went down. I'm not sure what that means, Jeff. I got to be honest. How good is Pitt supposed to be next season? They losing anyone? Brent, from what I understand, I actually heard this today on a podcast. Obviously, Kenny Pickett's gone. I understand they're losing quite. My understanding is Pitt is losing a lot. A lot. So now they did. Keaton Slovis from USC did transfer there. So, they do have him coming in as quarterback, but they're supposedly losing. I don't remember all the positions they're losing. Obviously, Kenny Pickett is the one that's obvious, but from what I've heard, they are losing a lot. So they should not be. They should be down next year. Virginia Tech is a dumpster fire right now, so they shouldn't be very good. So if we can't win at least one of those games out of conference, it's going to be a long year, brother. John Kelly, Saban got another 10 days to study the semifinals game. Could be rough. Yeah, exactly. That's my point, man. That's why I picked him. I'm not picking against Nick Saban. WV fans need to be patient. If Nico starts next year, going to have some growing pains as a true. I know, John. That's one of the reasons. Look, I didn't think Jarret Doege was a guy to get us where we needed to be, but I'm also concerned that not having a veteran quarterback next year is going to hurt us. Because it's hard for a true freshman, as you obviously know, to come in and be productive day one at the Power 5 level. Now, here's what I'd kind of like to see happen. I'd kind of like to see West Virginia go out and get a grad transfer quarterback for one season that's good and experienced. Has played in some big games. I'd like to see them go out and get a guy like that. Maybe I'm trying to think who fits that mold. There was a kid in the portal. Can't think of his name. But anyway, Dylan Gabriel would have fit that mold. Somebody like that who only has 1 year of eligibility left that can come in and be a stopgap between Jarret Doege and Nico, and then hand the reins over to Nico, the following year. Or I tell you what, man, there's a lot of people, behind the scenes. We got a guy named Will Crowder. Supposedly the kid is potentially a stud. So he may end up beating Nico out for the job. Who knows? Patience is key, John. We need to sweep non-con games. We do, man. We've got to win. Got to win those non-con games, man. Got to. Dumpster fire would be an improvement for Virginia Tech. You got that right, man. They're rough. They look rough. Good timing for us, though, I guess. Well, we did have a freshman called Patrick White from Daphne, Alabama, get thrown in a game or two. Yeah, but he was a redshirt freshman, John, not a true freshman. So he had been in the program a year at least. But good point. Wouldn't it be nice if we have another one of those, man? Boy, those were the good old days. We coming – their mouth too much. That the trophy going back to Alabama. Bo Nix would have been perfect for that. I know, man. But I just don't – Auburn fans don't seem to be real high on Bo Nix themselves. So I'm not sure – would he have been better than Jarret Doege? I don't know. he's at least mobile. Jarret Doege wasn't mobile at all, and that really hurt us because our offensive line wasn't that good. It was a terrible combination. I don't know. I think Nico's going to show Wavy fans that what we've been missing for the last. I hope he does, Brent. Hey, if the kid's good enough to win a job, I hope he wins a job. Now he is coming. He is enrolling in the spring, which is a couple. He might be there now. I would love to see him be a good. So he's going to have a head start. And he did say, and I heard him in a press conference at some event he was at a couple weeks ago, say that one of the reasons he picked West Virginia was because he was going to have a chance to come in and play right away. So the kid wants to play, and I'm worried if he don't win the job, he might leave. But, best man up. My top 5 to replace Brown: Bill O'Brien, Hugh Freeze, Todd Monken, Barry Odom, Dave Clawson of Wake Forest. I like the first 3 actually. I don't know enough about the other 2 guys. I don't know enough about Odom and Clawson. Well, I know who Clawson is. I don't remember who Barry Odom is. Outlaw, refresh my memory, please. Now, the other 3 guys I know, and obviously Dave Clawson I know. But the only thing that worries me about Clawson is they don't play defense there at Wake Forest. We've already been through that once with Dana. These defensive lines and Brown in the offseason would wreck the program. Yeah, I don't want it to happen now, man. I really don't. Now, I do. Now, if he doesn't win next year, if we win 6 games next year, even 7, you can't. First off, the trust the climb slogan should be dead. Because when you go from 5-7 to 6-4 and back to 6-7, you're no longer climbing anymore. At that point, you're on your level and you're staying where you're at. We can't take another year of that, man. We got to move up. The fan base is going to put too much pressure on them to do that again, and the media is even starting to put some pressure on now. Who is your way too early favorite to win the Big 12? I would say Baylor, Steve. I actually answered this on somebody's community tab poll earlier today. Don't know who it was. Baylor is my way too early pick right now. Because I think, now I haven't studied it, but I think they've got quite a bit coming back next year. So that's why I'm picking them. Dave Clawson will be a job this upcoming season. Yeah, he's done a good job at Wake, man. Got to give him credit for sure. Barry Odom played at Missouri. Okay, Missouri coach. Oh, yeah. When we played Missouri, he whipped our hind ends. He sure did. I think Baylor will be the favorite, still proven otherwise. OU is under a new coach. OK State will be right there. Yeah, OK State's always going to be there. Did you guys happen to hear Mike Gundy's post-game speech against Notre Dame, man? I loved it. He got up there and he said, everybody talks about Notre Dame and the brand. He said, or the logo. He said, you know what? We got a logo too, baby. And he pointed. I absolutely love that guy. I love Mike Gundy's I might like him better than Neil Brown. I swear. I love that guy. I would love for him to one day come to West Virginia and coach, man. I like him. He's my favorite coach in college football. Obviously, I don't like him more than Brown. I'm joking, but I do really like the guy. I kind of got a man crush on the guy, I guess you could say. Barry Odom is a former head coach of Missouri, who I think was fired too soon. It looks like it because Missouri's not doing very good, are they? Odom is the defensive coordinator for Arkansas. Okay. You think Brooks will get a lot of attention since Williams burdened their defense? Stapleton, I think Williams is going to get most of the attention. So I think Brooks is going to be able to – I think Brooks and Bolden are both going to have a lot of opportunities in this game. I really do. If those guys step up, which I don't see no reason to think they won't. I'd look for Brooks and Bolden to get equal opportunities, equal targets, or at least close to equal targets. Coach Jamison Williams is going to get a lot of attention, maybe even doubling. So it's going to. I think Brooks and or Bolden will have a really big game in the national championship game. I got a feeling that's going to happen. I for once agree with Outlaw on him being fired too early. Odom was a Mizzou head coach. It shows the Big 12 is a good Power 5 conference. I agree with that, John. Big 12 is better than people think, man. I know I'm biased, but Gundy's always animated. Yeah, he is always animated, Jeff. That's why I like him. I tell you, I always like Dana. A lot of people got mad at Dana for his antics on the sidelines. I kind of liked it. I like a coach that gets fired up, personally. Gordon Gee apparently didn't like it. He wanted his coach to be more polished and professional. But I'll be honest, I don't give a flip. I just want you to win. And win the right way. I don't want you to be I don't necessarily want you to break every law in the book doing it. Jim Knowles, DC, lands new job. Yes, he did. And Ohio State got him a good one, man. Jamala Dye at UGA. I would love to have him back. I wish we'd never lost the guy. Could he one day be a head coach? I think he can. He seems to be a superstar in the business. So absolutely, I think he can. I want to see Billingsley break out. Hey, he's another one that's got a chance. I forgot about him. But yeah, all those guys are going to have hey, Mechie's out, next man up, right? That's mentality. And in Alabama, the thing is with Alabama, their backups are actually good enough to do that. A lot of schools, if your best receiver or one of your top two best receivers goes out, it's a big loss for you. I don't think Bama's going to skip a beat. I'll be honest with you. I just think they're just too dang deep. Like Neil Brown's recruitment class, would like to see him actually see innovative, productive outcomes of his coaching moves. Brown has not exceeded any coaching expectations and games outcomes. I agree, John. He's exceeded my expectations as far as recruiting, but not in player development. That's where the big issue right now lies with me. Here, this is just a completely outsider view from a fan, okay? Neil Brown is extremely detail-oriented, and he's extremely analytical. Jonathan Lewis, you'll like this. He's extremely analytical. I actually think he's so analytical that he sometimes overthinks things. And I don't know. I think sometimes he's afraid to make a gut decision. Maybe. I could be wrong, but I just think that he overthinks everything so much because he's so detail-oriented that he can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. And to me, when you're a head coach, man, you've got to have that big – you got to be – number one, you got to have some cojones. He will go for it on fourth down and stuff. I don't mean that. I just mean when it comes to calling plays and stuff, I think he overthinks it. I also think he tries to make the players fit his system instead of fitting the system around what he has on the roster. Really good, great coaches will fix the scheme around what he has on the roster, not the other way around. And now he can recruit to what he wants to do, but right now he don't have that or didn't when he got there. So he needed to do some things differently. And I don't know that he was willing to do that because he's so used to doing things his way. Referring to national championship, Bama by 100. Bryce will get at least 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Good gosh. At least you're not confident in your team. Oh, man. ESPN had no cheap comebacks for Baylor, kicking the manure out of Ole Miss. Baylor won the big game twice in a row. But Baylor, I think it was a Stickum 365 guy asked the question, is Baylor the best all-around athletic program in the country right now? Because they're the national champions in basketball. Their women's basketball team's great. They won the Sugar Bowl and the Big 12 in football. And they're good in basketball again after losing guys in the NBA. They just reloaded, man. Gundy, we have a brand and logo. Yep, he did. That's what he said. That's why I love the guy, man. I'm telling you. Just something about him. I don't know. And then when he went up and when I was at that game, I saw Major Harris get inducted, got his number retired, which was very cool to witness in person, by the way. Saw Major Harris have his number retirement ceremony. And Mike Gundy went out of his way to walk halfway across the field and shake Major Harris's hand. That really meant a lot to me as a West Virginia fan and a guy who bleeds gold and blue. Because Gundy and Major Harris, here's some interesting trivia. Gundy and Major Harris played against each other in the 1987, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Outlaw, but it's either 86 or 87 Sun Bowl. They played against each other. Gundy for Oklahoma State, Major for West Virginia. So I'm sure he remembered him from those days. John Park Gundy was definitely cool in his press conference after getting the Notre Dame running. Yeah, he was, man. I've never liked Notre Dame. They think their poop don't stink, and it makes me want to vomit. But anyway, although I'd love to see the SEC and Big 12 play some matchups against the alliance conferences. I'd like the Big 12 and the SEC to form their own alliance, if you want my opinion. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I think if Okie State had beat Baylor, that it would have been a more interesting game for Alabama. Yes, that would have been a cool matchup, man, because I don't know. I don't think Oklahoma State would have won the game, but it would have been interesting to see how good that Oklahoma State defense could do against a team, because they haven't seen an offense like Alabama all year. I mean, they saw Texas, but Texas turned into a dumpster fire about halfway through the season, and Oklahoma was so up and down. Now, the Oklahoma played decent against Oklahoma State and put up some points on them, but ultimately it wasn't enough. But even Oklahoma, Caleb Williams is not Bryce Young, so that would have been a cool game to watch. Too much talent, just like last time. Gas the defense and do what we want. Yeah, I think that up-tempo offense really hurt Georgia, man. I really do, because Jordan Davis couldn't stay on the field. Love me some analytics. I know you do, brother. That's why I said you'd like this. Gundy can take a majority of the credit for building the brand at OSU. I don't want to say all of it, but most of it for sure. SEC and Big 12 could have some good matchups like in basketball for the challenge. Yes. Good point on designing your team around your talent. I mean, why do you run an RPO with a quarterback that can't run? That never made sense to me. Because you can hand it to the running back, you can throw it, or you can fake the handoff, take it, and run around the end yourself. We couldn't do that with Doege. Why do you run an RPO offense with an immobile quarterback, man? I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense to me. But, I tried to be positive. But, I mean, our offense has sucked for 3 years, man, and enough's enough. Gundy has done great things at OK State, and I felt Gary Patterson a short change for what he did for TCU. Man, you just answered my question. I'd like Gary Patterson to be the head coach at West Virginia. I know it'll never happen, but that would be cool. Gundy can take most of the credit for building the OSU brand. Success against all but OU when he is coach at OSU. Yes. I don't listen to ESPN analysts. They hate us. I guess they don't like winners. I still don't understand how. Wait a minute. Oh, man. Jonathan, I appreciate the $5 super chat, brother. Man, how did I not see that? Oh, there it is. Got a $5 super chat from Jonathan Lewis, guys. College football, Jonathan Lewis. Jonathan, you would do this to me, wouldn't you? He's making me say, roll Tide. Yeah, better than some other things I could say. I can tell you that. Roll Tide. How's that? Bastard. Gundy against Harris. Snow in El Paso. Oh, you're funny, John. That cracks me up, man. Sun Bowl. Yes, it was a Sun Bowl. Patterson was TCU football. Yep. Can't believe they did it that way, to be honest. Do you think the NIL should be evenly distributed with the team since football is a team sport? No, I do not, Spencer. Basically for the simple reason it's dictated by the free market, man. I'm a free market capitalist, and I think you've got to – I do think, though, teams need to find, and West Virginia has done this. I mean, the school can't do it, but the school has partnered with a company. Western University has partnered with a company to help find their players NIL deals. And they have found NIL deals for their linemen. Almost every billboard in the state of West Virginia has a lineman's face on it. There's a law firm that they got them to advertise for them, and it says size matters on a billboard and shows one of the linemen standing there like this or like this. And so there are innovative ways to do it, but I don't think it should be evenly distributed. No. Teams need to think outside the box in who they partner with and how they do it. and how they, get NIL money for their players. And they can't pay them themselves, but they can help players find ways to do it. Garrett Price will be a good one, Jonathan. He could then stick it to TCU. That would be great, man. I'd like to have somebody a little younger, but look, I just want to win, man. Just win, baby. A lot of the research that was done showed culturally, academically, etc. The SEC and Big 12 have the most in common in Power 5. Yes, absolutely, John. I actually did a video about that. We actually don't really fit ACC, to be honest, other than geographically. We fit with a few of the ACC schools, Louisville, but most of them we don't, because I know some people say academics don't matter. Academics do matter, man, to some of the conferences. Now, it don't matter to the SEC. It don't matter as much to the Big 12. But my gosh, the Big 10 and the Pac-12, it matters a lot. And the ACC, it kind of matters. I think ACC just uses an excuse to blackball people, to be honest, but that's a whole other story. I don't listen to ESPN. I've already read that one. You know what changed Bama with the loss? Saban said savor the loss and use it as motivation. Yep. Roll Tide. Oh, man. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get you back for that one, John. Maybe when Saban is done at Bama, he can come home. We'll leave him a spot, baby. We'll leave Saban a spot. I don't think he'll become an AD. I look for Nick Jeff. I mean, you guys know Nick Saban better than me, being Alabama fans, but I think I see Nick Saban going into the booth and becoming a broadcaster when he's done. If he ever, the guy might coach till he's dead. I don't know. He might pull a Bill Snyder and coach till he's 80 years old. But if he don't, I look for him to go into the booth. He's really good at it. When he's been a guest on ESPN and stuff, he's really good at it. So he might do that. Texas is paying their O-line $50,000 per year through a 4-year NIL, but I agree they shouldn't be restricted to share across the board. Oh yeah, I mean, I have no issue with the linemen. The linemen deserve it. But it's a free market system, man, and I think it needs to be. I mean, I don't know any other way to do it, really, because if you try to spread it out evenly, then what's the kicker get? What's the punter get? What's the third string quarterback? You know what I mean? I don't think that's. I mean, how's that fair and just either? You know what I mean? So you think a good QB would be great without the blocking? No. Never said that. Don't know where that came from, but no, I don't. Blocking matters absolutely. That's why I said earlier, Jarret Doege would have been a better quarterback had he had a better offensive line. But when you have a combination of an offensive line that's struggling, and I'm not saying our offensive line is not talented; they're very talented, but we're extremely young at that position. We had one spot on the offensive line that really, really struggled all season. That was our left tackle spot, which is the worst one, right? Just couldn't find anybody to play that position and do it consistently. But when you got an offensive line that can't block consistently well, and a quarterback that can't get out of the pocket and can't move, it's a recipe. I mean, that's why he got sacked about 37 or 38 times this year, man. And so they go hand in hand. But usually when guys have, that's why fans got so mad that he wouldn't play Garrett Green more, because Garrett Green could run better, but Garrett Green had such a limited playbook. He only had a handful of plays he could call for the guy. He can't read the defense good, according to the coaching staff. He hasn't picked it up as fast as they thought he would. So, they were a little bit constrained on what they could do. You said it again. I know. Hey, y'all keep putting $5 super chats up. I'll keep saying it. He would be a damn good one. Yep. He's toast. I don't know who you're referring to, but so a great QB share their NIL with their blockers. Yes. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Hey, most quarterbacks, I mean, I've even seen this in high school. Matter of fact, Nico did this for his lineman once this year after a game. Most quarterbacks, if they have a really good game where they don't get sacked, they'll take their linemen out for steak dinners and stuff like that. So absolutely, I think they should share it with them, but it shouldn't be. But yeah. So yeah, I do agree with that, Spencer. But that's obviously up to the quarterback. But if he wants to build rapport with those linemen and then protect his butt, he better share it. I think WVU might finally have a chance to beat Oklahoma since their top players are leaving. Hey, this is our year, baby. Oh, it's got to laugh, man. It's sad we got to rely on a team to lose all their best players before we can beat them, and we still may not beat them. Gosh, they've had our number. We've been so close so many times. My grandmother knew Saban when he was young and in mining town. Told me about him. Thought he was a nice young man. That's cool. Yeah. For people who out here, most of you Alabama fans probably know this, but Nick Saban is actually from West Virginia originally. Went to Monongah High School, if I'm not mistaken. Played football there and ended up going to college at Kent State. Go Alabama, Tidy Bowl, automatic bathroom cleaner, in-tank liquid Tidy Bowl. I'm confused, John. They were both from the same area, yep. Breaking news. ISU actually scored a touchdown. There again. Oh, LSU. Okay, I got it. LSU. Got it. Hey, I'm a little slow tonight, Jeff. Things going right over my. See his bald head. Things slide right off it, man. Things slide right past it. You skip my comment, you goober. Hey, man, I can't. That's why I got to get me a moderator, man. I can't keep up. Where's that? Where did I skip it? Oh, the topic about West Virginia's 5 possible replacements is what I want to interview you on. Great idea, huh? It is. We'll do it. Set it up, man. I've told you if you set it up, you won't set it up. It's on you to set it up, brother. Quit lollygagging and set it up, man. $21-7. I haven't even been watching it. Did you happen to see the topic about Martinsburg, West Virginia high school quarterback who threw for 7,400 yards in 2 years and Dana didn't offer him? I heard about it, Trey. I did hear about it, but I didn't follow the story. I just heard bits and pieces. Dana also didn't. By the way, guys, y'all know Ryan Switzer played in the NFL for the Steelers. He's from West Virginia. It's my understanding now. I need to go back and read this again to make sure I'm telling this right. But it's my understanding he did not get a scholarship offer from West Virginia. Can you believe that? He was the best player in the state. He ended up going to UNC and was the best kick returner in the country. Top 5 debut placements that happened: Bill Clark, not a bad one. Todd Monken, Barry Odom, Mike Elko, Mike Tressel. Question for you. I know Mike Tressel. Is Mike Tressel related to Jim Tressel? Is it his son, grandson, nephew? Because I've always thought Jim Tressel might be a fit at West Virginia for a couple of reasons. One, Ohio, West Virginia border states. He's from Ohio. 2, he worked under Gordon Gee at Ohio State before. So I'm assuming they probably got a decent relationship. And 3, he kind of fits the mold of what Gordon Gee likes in a football coach. He's more of that polished professional type guy, wears a sweater vest and the whole bit. And he was a good coach at Ohio State. Last I heard, Jim Tressel was either AD or even president at Youngstown State now. So, he's probably not looking for a job, but no one cares about your comments at college football. K-State beating them down, Jeff. Man, did y'all read? LSU had 39 players available for this game is it. 39. That's a team that could have decided to give up and not play, though, guys. I'm giving them credit for that. Their coach should have said, you know what, we're not even going to play. It ain't worth it, but they didn't. He had 39 guys that wanted to play, and he took them to play. They might get the crap kicked out of them, but at least they're there competing and fighting. Ding, ding, CFP fired back. Do you know of any portal QBs that West Virginia may be able to go after and land? I've heard that there's a kid named Cam Ward who's from Division II, or he's an FCS school, Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas. He was the top quarterback in FCS at the FCS level this year. He's already went on an official visit to Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's already offered him. I heard West Virginia has reached out to him, but I haven't heard whether they've offered him and whether he set up a visit or not. But he's leaving his options open is what I'm hearing. He's even thinking about going back to Incarnate Word because he feels like he owes it to his teammates. He's waiting to see who they end up hiring as a coach because their coach apparently left. But and there's also, and actually I think Outlaw College Football told me about this one. There's a kid, last name's Tyson. I can't think of his first name. At Alabama. I guess he's Alabama's backup or third string. I'm not sure where he is on the depth chart, but I think he's got a couple years of eligibility left. He's actually Paul Bear Bryant's great-grandson, I believe it is. He was like a 4- or 5-star kid coming out of high school. I think he's in the portal. That's the two that come to mind. I did see where BYU's backup quarterback, the Baylor Romney kid, I saw where he's in the portal, but I'm not sure what year of eligibility, how many years of eligibility he has left. Played college ball in North Carolina. He said Dana didn't want him. Yep. Sad. And he actually, he's a I follow him on Twitter, Trey, and he actually follows West Virginia's basketball team and posts about them and stuff, man. I think he's still, obviously he's a UNC football fan now because that's where he went to school, but he's still a West Virginia basketball fan, man. And I don't understand. And then I tell you who else Dana didn't recruit real hard. A guy that transferred back to us, Doug Nestor, offensive lineman. Neil didn't recruit him real hard either. Dana. Dana. Dana didn't go after the in-state kids real heavily, man. We got the Steele brothers, but their dad played here, so I think they were more or less going to come here regardless. And two, they went to Fairmont State, which is only 30 miles down the road from Morgantown, so he didn't have to go far. I'm telling you, man, Neil Brown did not like traveling. Dana Holgerson did not like traveling to recruit. Are several in the portal in subspace right now? I don't know what that means, what you mean by subspace right now. I'm assuming that's a typo. Here's my issue. Here's what worries me about, what frustrates me about the whole Doege thing. I listened to a podcast today where Mike Kazaza, one of the 247 writers for West Virginia, was on there doing an interview. They were interviewing him, and he said that Neil Brown likes to keep everything under the vest. It's like he don't want to tell the media anything for some reason. Now, sometimes he will. Sometimes he'll come out and tell you too much. And then other times he don't want to tell you anything. And him and Jarret just wouldn't answer the question, man. And he had to have known for a while that he was leaving, you'd think. He didn't walk on senior day, which that made me think he was coming back. But I don't know. Long story short of it is waiting this long to make the decision, half the quarterbacks are out of the portal now. Most of the good quarterbacks, most of the great quarterbacks are already gone. So when you wait this long to make these kind of decisions, it limits your options in the portal. So I'm kind of frustrated about how it's like it takes Neil Brown and guys. I don't know. He's an extremely slow decision maker, I think, because he overanalyzes everything to death. I used to work for a guy like that. That overanalyzed everything, and he was a pain in the hind end to work for. He was a great guy, but hard to work for, man. Nephew, I believe. Okay, so he's Paul Bear Bryant's nephew. Interesting. Jim, John, and Light Tresses all related. I thought so. Can you believe the best player in the nation went to Jackson State? Jeff, I don't think he'll stay at Jackson State because here's what I think is going to happen. I think Deion is eventually going to land a Power 5 job and leave Jackson State. And then that kid will probably go with him, or the kid will go to Jackson State for a year or two, make a bunch of NIL money, and then leave and go to a bigger school so he can get drafted higher. Thank you, Spencer, for the $5 super chat. Don't forget about the practice squad that works their A off getting these NIL players ready. First time see you show. Thank you for keeping it 100. Thanks, Spencer. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate that. It means a lot, brother. Thanks again for the $5 super chat. I do try to keep it real. I try to be honest, but yet respectful at the same time. It's not always easy to do, but I try my best. And I do agree with you. Those practice squad players mean a lot to the programs, man. But unfortunately, we live in a world where it's, the more talented person and or the most hardworking people, And sometimes that goes hand in hand. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes guys work hard or just not talented enough. But we live in a society where the talent people get paid the most. I mean, that's just kind of the way the world works, unfortunately. But I will tell you this about those practice squad guys. Those guys are learning to be men, and most of them probably going to have very successful lives, even if it ain't on the football field. So they can still be very successful guys, even off the field. I was making a joke, Coos. I got to go up and see what you're joking about, man. If they hired Dion somewhere, would he come with him to possibly? Possibly. I could see that happening. Rutgers took a beating. Texas A&M had no excuse. When are we going to organize a couch burning? We got to come out, get some shine, and bump some couches, burn some couches. Hey, man, I can get you the shine. I'm not burning my couch because I need it. But hey, I'm sure. Hey, I guarantee you, I could find some backwoods somewhere with an old couch, and we could burn it. Guarantee it. Trust me. There's plenty of woods and plenty of fields in West Virginia we could burn a couch on, and I guarantee I could find you some shine. That would be the easy part, to be honest. I could make one phone call and do that. Bit off topic. I think WU basketball team grew up in Austin despite losing. I absolutely agree, John. Totally agree with you. I think Jalen Bridges gained some confidence. I think that game may end up being the best thing that happened to this team long term, even though they lost the game. Talking about Gunnar Romney from Boise State, then went to BYU. Is it Gunnar Romney or anyway? Yeah, Romney's is. I thought it was Baylor Romney, but anyway, yeah, Romney kid. He's in the transfer portal. I saw that yesterday. We need a 235-pound running back. Need a big back like all the top-tier schools are going to. Yeah, the kid we've got, Mathis isn't 235 pounds, but he is a pretty big dude. But I've always said, I've been saying I think we need a shiftier guy. Like we need a change of pace guy. We need to have both. I liked it when we had guys back in the days when we had Owen Schmidt and Steve Slayton. You give it to Owen Schmidt. I mean, he was a fullback really, but he ran the ball some. Give it to him, let him plow people over. Then you give it to Steve Slayton, and he's gone. You know, he makes a couple cuts and he's gone. Change of pace. That's what I like. We need multiple guys. Is what we need. And John, I guess I missed your joke, man. I apologize. I'm not able to keep up with all these chats. Lost out on Amir Richardson. The Marshall played with Logan Holgerson at Morgantown High School. I heard the name Amir Richardson, but I don't know much about him. I don't follow. I'm going to try to do a better job of this now that I have a YouTube channel, but I do not do a good job following West Virginia's high school kids. I follow the local kids here near where I live, obviously, but not. Speaking of which, there's if you guys know who Ahmad Bradshaw is, he played for the Colts in the NFL and then for the Giants. Actually scored the game-winning touchdown in one of the Colts Super Bowls, or in the Colts Super Bowl that they won. Or I'm sorry, the Giants. For the Giants, my bad. He scored the game-winning Super Bowl in one of the Giants Super Bowl victories. Anyway, he's from right down the road. I live in West Virginia, but I live right on the Virginia line. He lives right across the border in Virginia from me. His son just signed it with Virginia Tech on signing day. Really good player, they say. No, referring to Tressel. Yeah, I know who he's talking about. Tressel. Yeah, he's nephew. He's Jim Tressel's nephew. Gotcha. I was gonna say he ain't Paul Bear Bryant's nephew. He'd be like 100 years old, wouldn't he? I was okay. Now I got it. No, I was confused. I ain't gonna lie. Nephew. Okay, makes sense. I seen Beans last game as a Steeler last night. It was Big Ben's. Yeah, that was emotional. I didn't get to see the actual game, and I saw the highlights after. The dude was doing everything he could to hold back tears, man. Very cool moment. I don't care. A lot of people don't like that guy. You cannot argue that dude's toughness. He's won 2 Super Bowls, made one of the best throws I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. That throw to Santonio Holmes in the back of the end zone to beat Arizona Cardinals was just an absolute dime. I mean, you can't. Dude's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he deserves it. Was emotional in Pittsburgh last night. I'm a big Steelers fan. I figured you were, John, being up northern part of West Virginia, man. You're right up next to Steeler country. It was awesome. Everybody was cheering. 18 years in the NFL. Yeah, Najee did show out, and he said he wanted to play good for Ben, man, and that was cool. It's cool to see guys do that for each other, man. That shows you what kind of fraternity they have. Oh, Star Trek. Okay, the subspecial. John, I'm going to be honest with you, brother. I know people are going to think it's just crazy. Outlaw's probably going to make fun of me. I've never watched one episode of Star Trek, man. So Star Trek and Star Wars and all that stuff goes over my head because I've never been a sci-fi guy. Never got into it. So I totally apologize for missing that. Commercials are making the sci-fi portals. Oh, yeah. I have seen that now. I have seen a couple little memes or whatever on Facebook, but I didn't realize they were Star Trek references. So my bad. Totally, like I told you guys, I'm struggling today, man. I've not been able to focus today. Next time, give me a heads up and I'll moderate. I know, man. I'm trying to catch them. For whatever reason, Jonathan, I'm not able to make somebody a moderator during the chat. Like on YouTube, you can just hit the 3 dots and boom, make them a moderator. But you can't do that with StreamYard. I guess I'm going to have to do it in advance. Could you even imagine Coach Primetime replacing Nick Saban when he retires? Nah, I don't see that happening. I don't see him going to Alabama. Never know, though. Marquette basketball 30 on 6. Hey, us West Virginia guys, we know how good Marquette is, man. They're a good team. Yeah, the 2 backs. Yeah, John, I do like having a big back, man. I like a change of pace back. I really do. I like a big bruiser back and then a small shifty back. Now, we got the shifty back coming in this year with Lynn J. Dixon from Clemson, the transfer. They say he's a shifty back, so he should help us in that regard. And then Mathis he's got some wiggle in him, but he's more of a downhill runner as well, and so was Justin Johnson. Ahmad Bradshaw, watched him in high school, was a better defensive player than offense, in my opinion. Well, John, if you watched him in high school, then you and I probably don't live too far apart. But I digress. I watched him play one time. Didn't understand. I mean, he was a good player, don't get me wrong, but I agree with you. I thought he was – I didn't think he was that great of a running back. I mean, he was good for around here because we're – this area, we don't see guys like that too often. But then he went to Marshall. I didn't think he was all that great at Marshall, to be honest. He did okay. Got drafted in like the 6th or 7th round, and my gosh, he went to the NFL and ended up being a starter. I mean, he didn't make the Hall of Fame or nothing, but he started in the NFL and won a Super Bowl ring, man. That's something to be proud of. I've seen him. I run into him occasionally in public. I don't know him personally. I spoke to him. I don't like to bug him and treat him like a celebrity because I'm sure the dude don't want to be bothered. Matter of fact, his little boy played. He's got a son the same age as my youngest daughter, and they played soccer against each other. And that little kid can flat out fly. Be weird to have Primetime as Alabama's coach. I'm going to be honest. People are going to think I'm nuts, but, man, if West Virginia could get – if Deion came to West Virginia, he could recruit like crazy here, but I don't know if he's I don't know how good an actual coach he is. Yeah, he can get guys there, but can he coach them once they're there? That's the issue. He's a great QB. Mobility was equivalent to a snail in sand. But it's sad to see a QB like that leave after the legacy he left. Jonathan, I assume you're talking about the Tyson kid. Or are you talking about Jarret Doege? Stapleton, I'm a Star Wars fan. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm one of the few people that aren't, man. I just, for whatever reason, I never gravitated to that kind of stuff. They use subspace for communications, go to warp speed, and now college football is throwing. Buddy, you got that right. It's a great analogy, man. I totally agree with you. I can't wait to see Will and Turner crashing the backfield. You're going to see it. Bradshaw loved defense. Yeah, he could flat out hit you too, man. Bluefield whooped him, but you could tell he was a great athlete. Yep. John Park, you and I live about 10 or 15 minutes apart, I do believe, brother. Enjoy your show, sir. Keep it real, please. Thank you, man. Thanks again. You've been super, Spencer. I appreciate you stopping in, man. Hope you subscribe as well if you haven't already. I'm assuming you probably have. We did have his godson. I know. That's what I was thinking. There is a connection. Noel Devine was Deion Sanders' godson, and he, our former late great coach Bill Stewart, rest in peace, I think built a pretty good relationship with Deion when he was recruiting Noel. I think Bryce ends up staying because his targets are going to increase quite a bit since Wright, Esdale, and Ryan are gone. What do you think? My understanding is he's staying because some guy today on Twitter, Brent, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you follow the guys on Twitter. Some dude, some West Virginia idiot fan, tweeted Bryce Ford Wheaton today and said, "You're a quitter on your team. You're a Benedict Arnold." The guy ain't even said anything about leaving yet, but I guess there's rumors out there, right? And Winston Wright's reply was, "Dude, you don't even know what you're talking." He said, "You need to stop making assumptions. You know what assumptions do, don't you?" He says it makes an asset of you and me. So I don't think Bryce Ford Wheaton, he's like a third generation player at West Virginia too. So he's a legacy guy. He's had family that's played here. So I don't think he'll leave. I really don't. He might, but I don't think he will. Paul Tyson was never going to start Alabama. He don't have what it takes to run an offense. Well, that's what worries me. I mean, has he ever even played? How many games has he even played in a game? I mean, heck, having him might not be any different than having a freshman. You know, if he's never played a snap. So I don't know how good. I don't know how much he would help us really. Guys, I think I covered about everything that I wanted to cover tonight. I appreciate you guys coming on here. I think we got up to about 24, 25, which is a good number for these live chats for me. Appreciate all the participation. Appreciate all the super chats. All the questions. If I missed your question, I apologize. But like I said, as these things start growing, the only way I can see your chat for sure is if you, and even them I miss occasionally, obviously, but a lot better chance to see your chat when you throw that super chat on there. But I try to see them all if I can, but it's not easy to do. Jeff Stapleton, thanks. Paul Tyson. Oh, yeah, I read that one already. Oh, I got more questions coming in. Wondering thoughts on if Doege and others left over social media or another in-program reason. They're the better fan behavior on Facebook and other. John, here's my opinion, man, on that. Yeah, our fan behavior has been sickening lately to an extent, but man, that happens at every program. Every program has got butthole fans that act like idiots, death threats and all. We're not the only fan base who does that. I'm pretty sure we're not, because I've heard stories about other fan bases too. Yeah, thanks, guys. I probably do need to run off of here. It's been almost 2 hours. Deion Sanders did not want Noel coming to West Virginia. It caused a little issue between them. Didn't last long, but okay. I didn't know that, Damon. Thanks for pointing that out, brother. Gamecock Chuck, thanks for hopping on, man. Hey, guys, look, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for everybody's participation. Thanks for hopping on. Let's go Mountaineers. And I'm not saying it again, Jonathan and Jeff.